Jodi.
Hi.
How are
Yeah,
you?
it has my daughter's name on there
Yeah,
because
I was going to ask who's Tui. Tui?
Tui. Yeah, that's my
Tui.
daughter's.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Fine. Nice talking to you again.
Yeah. Hi.
So let me start introducing you to Henrique. He's gonna join the conversation today, as we are doing this. I'm calling the second season of After the Bell podcast because we did one last year, which was just me and the finishers talking. And
Yeah.
I wanted to change a little bit for this year's in conversation. And that's why when you ask about the questions, I said I don't have any question because it will be as they call, a table cast. It just will be
Sure.
a conversation, and I think that bringing more people to the table would be more fun. Henrique is a friend of mine from Brazil. He's a triathlete. He had done marathons. He's my coachee, so we have a long time relationship. He's super into sports, into a lot of things, and mostly he loves to meet new people and to
Okay.
hear good stories. So that's why he's joining us today. Lion?
Hi, Jodi. Nice to
Hi.
meet you.
Nice.
Enrique. So a normal guy from Brazil. I live in Brazil. It's very odd to say that to a person who lives in Alaska and who climbs mountains. I don't know, but I'm cold in São Paulo, and it's now 15 degrees Celsius, which might be, I don't know, Samir, 65 Fahrenheit.
60,
Yeah.
low 60, yeah.
Pretty cold, and I'm full of coats and jackets. So thanks, Samir, again for letting me join. Jodi, I must say he forbidden me to do any kind of research on you because he
Yeah.
likes the table cast kind of thing. So we're gonna, but I did some. I just googled your name just real quick, just now. It wasn't a research. So thanks for. So nice to meet you. I have a hint that I will like you very much
Oh,
just from what I just read. So nice meeting you. Thanks, Samir, as well for letting me in this conversation. I promise not getting in the way of the questions and
Joy, whenever you want. And I think that you mentioned something interesting that should be a good starting point for a conversation. Alaska. Tell me, are you were you born in Alaska, or you just live now there? It's it's something that I don't know. It's so far from our reality to meet someone from Alaska. To every time when you mention something, some place that is really far, probably you think about Alaska, and you think
yeah.
about just snow and I don't know, really cold. So tell me, were you born there? What?
Oh. No, I was born and raised in Northern California. So I
Mhm.
was born near Oakland, California, in the Bay Area. And I moved to Alaska 15 years ago because of my job. So I was hired at Alaska Airlines. I fly jets for a living, the
Mhm.
737, and they sent me to Anchorage, Alaska. And I thought, okay, so moved up here and I have not left. Alaska is, well, it's 65 here today and it's summer. So it's 14 degrees here today and it's summer. So
Yeah.
I feel even more humiliated now. Was Tui born in Alaska? Tui
Tui
and
was, yeah, both my children were born in Alaska. And yeah, I've been here 15 years and my children are 11 and 8 years old.
is there a name for a person who's born in Alaska? Alaskan?
Oh,
Or
just Alaskan.
Alaskan.
So like I'm from the lower 48. So we have obviously 50 states. So Hawaii is a state, and then there's Alaska. So we're the two states that aren't part of the lower 48. So we joke that there's people from the lower 48, and then there's Alaskans. So my children are Alaskans. I'm from the lower 48.
Nice.
Gotcha, lower 48.
And you mentioned that you were a pilot and you pilot jets for a living.
Yep.
this I cannot think any cooler phrase sentence as I fly jets for a living. It's super cool, super cool.
And I live in Alaska.
And I
I
live
mean,
in Alaska.
Alaska,
I'm
yeah.
38 years old. This is officially the most interesting person I've ever met in my life. And it's just been 3 minutes we've been together.
I mean,
Well,
so tell us about it. How do you it was your dream? Like, I want to fly jet when I grow up. What about it?
No, I do not come from a family of aviators. I'm the only person in my family who flies for a living. I have a degree in Latin American studies, believe it or not. I lived in
Wow.
Brazil. I also lived in Chile. And then when I graduated from college, I decided I had to pick a career, and I thought I would be a flight attendant because, I look like a flight attendant. I act like a flight attendant. And I decided, a girlfriend of mine actually said to me, "You would be a terrible flight attendant." And I said, "Why would I be a terrible flight attendant?" And she says, I think you should be a pilot." And I said, "I don't know anything about flying." And she said, "You didn't know anything about Latin America before you moved there, before you went to school. They have classes, they have a college for that." And I said, "Oh." So I went to flight school and I took a couple lessons and I thought, I can do this. And the rest is history. So I've been flying for 22 years.
22. That was
I woke up in the morning and decided I was going to be an airline pilot, and then I made it happen. So
cool. What made you give up about the Latin Americans? What did they do to you? I wanna know that. We promise we're not gonna do that here in this next hour.
Well, I moved when I graduated from high school. I went to college for like a year, and I thought, I need to go do something different. Most people call it a gap year, right? And in America, we don't really do that. So I decided to do it. So I took off and I moved to Chile, and I lived in Santiago. And then when I was there, I realized I didn't know much about the world, right? Coming from the United States, we're so ethnocentric. We only learn about ourselves and we only care about ourselves. And I thought there's so much more to learn. So when I decided to go back to school, I thought I need to study the history of Latin America and our relationship with Latin America, the United States relationship with Latin America. So I went back to school and I focused on the economic side of our relationship. So I have a degree in Latin American studies, but like the economic side of that. But when I graduated, I thought, okay, that's great. I learned a lot. I know how the world works, and then.
How long was this? Just 1 year?
No, it was when I came, I was in Santiago for a year.
For a year. Well.
Yeah. And then when I went back to school, they sent me to Brazil to do some research for 6 months. So I lived in Brazil for 6 months.
Where in Brazil?
Do you remember?
I was in Rio, and then I also went to Sao Paulo, and then they also sent me to Manaus.
Whoa.
So Samir, this caught me off guard because normally, and you're right, Jodi, because it's normal that the Latin Americans know more about the world than the North Americans. This happens because, I mean, so much history. But Samir, do you know Alaska?
No,
I don't. And she has been to Santiago, where you're based right now, and to Sao Paulo, where I am right now. So
and
I
Manaus.
didn't see coming.
And Manaus,
and many other places, of course. Now she's a pilot. Okay. Now she does that for a living. But even though,
amazing.
Yeah. So, and then I realized that I like to travel. I like to travel for free, and I like to experience new cultures and new people. So the flying thing really ticked all my boxes. Plus, I don't like to be bored. Now, flying, you do sit down all day, which is awful, but you get to use all facets of your body, because when you're flying, it's a three-dimensional object. You're using your hands, feet, your brain, and that ticked all my boxes as well. So when I first learned how to fly, I thought, this is it. This is so easy for me. I want to do this. And then you just graduate up. You work your way, get your hours, work your way up, and then ended up getting hired 15 years ago with Alaska Airlines. So
this is a career that can take as long as you want, if you want to stay there forever.
Mandatory retirement, commercial flying, mandatory retirement at 65.
65.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Then you can fly private.
Yeah, then you could go after at 65 and go fly small Lear jets or become a flight instructor or whatever. But just commercial aviation, huge passenger jets, mandatory
You used to
retirement.
have 30 years ahead of you.
Yeah, right. No, because I look so young. No. I have 20 more years. 20 more years.
20 more years. Good. It's a whole nother life. And what's the you fly always to? You mentioned that this week I think you were in Chicago or Seattle, and then in Alaska. So it's always the same route you're flying, or changes every week?
Every week it changes. Like tomorrow I'll be in Seattle, but I go through Juneau, Alaska, which is in the panhandle of Alaska. I mean, Alaska is so big. And then on Sunday I fly through Southeast Alaska back up. So I do multiple landings through all these small villages in remote Alaska. So I fly 737 around remote Alaska in the worst conditions on the planet. It's awful, but it's cool.
You're wired differently.
There was something that I was thinking today that I want to ask you about the conditions, because again, every time we think in Alaska, we think in this place that is just ice with with nothing, and it's a misconception, because we know that is not that, but as we don't know, we figure out how it looks like, and we buy what media sells us. So so I kept thinking, well, just landing in Alaska might be super hard, about the conditions, a lot of wind, ice. The flights are calmer, or have a lot of turbulence because of where you are in the world. Or just talking bullshit here?
No, it's awful.
You got that straight, man. That's it.
Okay.
What the media is selling you is true.
Good media I'm using.
So for instance, we go to Barrow, which is 71 degrees north latitude. So that's the furthest North American city in the United States. And there, the sun does not set for 3 months out of the year. So if you land at midnight, the sun is up. But also between November and January, the sun does not rise. So when you land at noon, the stars are out, and so is the aurora borealis, right? So it's very interesting. And then you have ice compacted runways. So the runways are compacted with ice, and you have blowing snow. You have the worst conditions on the planet, and we take a jet there. So most people,
someone goes there.
There's actually quite a few people live there.
Interesting.
People that used to live in California, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Sunny California, you go every week to a place that the sun never rises for 3 months.
Yes. So in Anchorage, where I live, which is the biggest city in Alaska,
capital, right?
People, right. Well, right now, I mean, we have a lot of trees and grass, and the sun is shining, and the sun, we just passed the solstice, right? So the sun does not set. It goes below the horizon, but there's dusk 24 hours a day. So the sun technically sets around midnight, comes back up at 4. So you're just never tired from pretty much April through October, and then after that you hibernate like a bear.
Yeah. How does it impact your training?
Oh, well, you can go for a run at 11 o'clock at night and it's sunny. So, but you have to worry about the wildlife. So the crazy thing about Alaska is when you go for a run, you either take a gun or you take your bear mace. And you take your dog. So I have a dog, and when I go for a run, I carry bear mace. So I wear my hydration pack, and I have a bear mace, which is like a pepper spray that I carry right here, which is deployable to spray on any sort of critter.
Have you had an experience with the wildness?
Yeah. So we often have bear encounters. Bears are very
often.
Yeah, often. Yeah. Actually,
the black ones, the white big ones. Which ones?
No, we don't have any polar bears in Anchorage, but the black bears and the brown bears. Yeah.
The black ones, yeah.
I often encounter black bears more so than brown bears. Brown bears, they all want to stay away from you. They don't really want to engage with you, but you often surprise them when you're running. So if you're running through a trail running, and you come upon a black bear or a brown bear, they tend to just run away unless they have babies. And then if they have babies, they'll stand their ground and you back away, and usually everything works out. But occasionally we'll have a couple bear maulings, and it's usually for runners who are wearing earbuds and they never hear the bear, you know, like taking them down or crashing through the bushes because they're wearing earbuds. So I don't run with earbuds.
Okay.
And then I also try to run with a running partner if I'm running past 8 p.m. because bears sleep during the day. So if you're running early morning or late evening, then yes, you need to be prepared.
So we do the same in Latin America. We have to run with a partner. We have to carry a gun, but for different reasons, very different reasons. These are not the animals we're talking about here in Sao Paulo. Anyway,
it would be much better if it was just bears.
Yes.
Yeah, man. At least, I mean, if you don't bother the bears, they're not going to bother you. So
no.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there was a finisher at Patagon Man the first year you had Patagon Man, and he was a bear attack survivor from Alaska.
He was from Alaska. He was running and he got attacked by a bear. And after that, he started doing extreme triathlons just to prove that his sentence was like, nothing is harder in life than being caught up with a bear or something like that.
Yes. Yeah. And I met him, and he's lovely, and he has some amazing scars.
Yeah. Huge
really
scars.
Epic, huge scars.
Where? On the chest?
All over her body.
All over.
All over. No, he got he
Really?
I talked to him in 2018. He was here in Patagonia for the first year. He actually had to fight with the bear.
Yes.
Yeah. Like the Renovant.
Yeah, no, it was like the Renovant, just like the movie. Yeah, that way.
Yeah, and that bear came back for him, just like in the movie.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's a tall guy, but he's not a strong guy. He's a normal guy.
Yeah.
And the
bear endurance athlete guy.
Endurance.
He's like, I mean, Jodi. So Samir said something that made me think of a question. Sports in your life, did something extreme happen before you got into the life of endurance sports, or was just a taste, or just step by step? How was little Jodi? Did she like sports?
Oh, when I was in high school, I did the standard, I ran cross country, I played soccer, ran track and field, just to stay busy. I'm sure my parents signed me up for this stuff just to keep occupied. But then after high school, I didn't really do any sports. I mean, I had a mountain bike, and I just, nothing. I never ran or had a passion for anything. And then I survived a house fire in 2012. So I was in the house, this house actually, and I was with my 3-month-old baby, and the house caught on fire, and I evacuated the house with my child. And we did not get hurt, but we lost everything. I mean, everything. I had the clothes on my back, and I had my baby and the dog. I got the dog out, and nothing else, absolutely nothing else. So when you have to start over in your entire life, like start over, you have a different perspective on what's important, right? So then we rebuilt the house, and then I had an opportunity to donate one of my kidneys. So I'm a living kidney donor. I donated one of my kidneys to one of our coworkers. So after the house fire, I had what is the appropriate word for it? Come to Jesus meeting with myself about like, why did the universe let me live? Right? Because I should have died in that house fire. My son and I both should have died in that house fire, but we got out. And so here I had an opportunity that I was allowed to live, right? And then here was somebody who could not live without somebody else helping them, right? So one of our flight attendants needed a kidney, and she was O positive. And when you're O positive, you need an O positive kidney. You can't take a kidney from any other blood type. So I'm O positive. And I thought, well, I'll fill out the paperwork and see if I'm a match. And I ended up being a 5x5 genetic match. So we were perfectly matched. And we had the surgery in March of 2017. And I survived that as well. Obviously, I'm still here, and she has survived, and she has flourished. She has her life back. She's who she was before she was ill, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful experience to see somebody else live because they have one of your organs. And then I signed up for my first triathlon. So I thought, well, why not?
2017. After all of this.
After all of this. I signed up in 2017 for a triathlon in 2018. It was just a little sprint, run, bike, swim, super short 500-meter swim, like 12-mile bike ride, 3-mile run. And to get in shape for this, I thought, well, I'm going to go run Kilimanjaro.
All right. Some people go to the treadmills, Samir. Some people go to the treadmills on their condo. Right.
Now you have to thank me, Henrique, but because the training, the sessions I send you is not running the Kilimanjaro. It's a little bit simple.
Yeah.
So
Thanks, Coach.
Well, I donate my kidney, and I think, here is somebody, there's so many people that need organs, right? There's so many people. And in the United States alone, there's 100,000 people that are waiting for a kidney, cadaver or alive, it doesn't matter, right? And then every year, 20,000 people are added to the list. And then every year, 20,000 people are taken off the list because they either die waiting or they actually get a kidney. And 5,000 of those get a living kidney. And then the other 15,000 get deceased or cadaver kidneys. Mm-hmm. So I figured, you know what? Why have I sat around? And it's not like I'm sitting around, but I mean, I haven't really done anything for sports, or I just felt like I was really, I had a new zest for life. And I thought, I've always wanted to go to Kilimanjaro. And then I started mountain running, and I thought, I'm just going to go run Kilimanjaro. So I warmed up for this little triathlon I went to Kilimanjaro in January of 2018, and I ran that. The Coca-Cola route took me 17 hours. And then I thought, I'm really good at like really awful suffer fests, like these little short things. Whatever, I'm not really good at sprinting, but I can handle like a 16, 18-hour awful day, and I'm still smiling at the end. This is what I'm made for, right? So I do this little sprint triathlon in 2018 on my mountain bike, right? And I thought, I really like this. So then I bought a bike, and then I signed up for the same triathlon the next year. But in the meantime, I decided to go and I climbed Aconcagua. So I did that in January of 2019. And that, of course, is 22,838 feet, but who's counting? Or 6,961 meters. Yep. And that was like a 16-hour summit day, awful, hypoxic. Everybody's vomiting. They're like laying on the ground. People are dying. I'm like, this is awful. But I'm still smiling, right?
But I'm still smiling.
It's not this yet.
So I thought, okay, I really like mountaineering. I like these long days. I'm really into, 16, 18, 20-day expeditions. I can live in a tent. I mean, that's just Alaska living, where you camp a lot and you're outdoors a lot. So then I came back from that, and that's when I signed up for Patagon Man. So I'd never done a full-length Iron Man ever. And I signed up for Patagon Man. But in between,
went to a very easy one. You started in a very easy one.
I started with
in Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, Patagon Man is just a workout.
Just keeping the pattern, I've started doing sports. I'll start with Kilimanjaro, then Aconcagua. Just keep the pattern.
You got to aim high. High. Right? So I did an Olympic distance triathlon in March of 2019. I thought, okay. And then I did the Waco Iron Man that same year, which is a 70.3. But I did that with, I have two other people that I like to do events with that they're organ recipients. So there's a gal that does the swim, and she's a heart recipient. And then the guy that does the bike is a liver recipient. And then I'm the kidney donor. So we have a team, and it's called Organ Donation Motivation. And every time we go to an event, we often end up on the news because we're willing to talk about our experiences and how important it is to be a living, not necessarily a living organ donor, but to sign up to register to donate your organs in your death, because there's 2 people that would not be alive and not be doing these sports if it wasn't for deceased donors who gave, their organs.
You represent deceased donors. How did you meet these people? Because of your donation?
Yes, well, we were all, so we have this big parade in America on New Year's Day. It's called the Rose Bowl Parade. And they have these huge floats that, of course, made out of roses. And one of the floats is Donate Life, is an organization in America that talks about organ donation. They had called me and asked me to be on the float. And they also had called both of them to be on the float. So usually it's, they find you through, I do a lot of public speaking for organ donation. So somebody knew somebody and they said, well, you should probably put her on the float. So we met through that. And then we realized we were all quasi athletes. I mean, I don't consider myself an athlete at all. I just consider myself somebody who shows up and does my best. And then I just move on to the next thing. So, we met through that. And then, so we were hoping to do a race last year. Of course, with COVID, everything was canceled. So we're signed up to do the St. George Iron Man in 2022 as a weekend.
It's gonna be your first regular Ironman from the.
Well, and I only do the run because the
relay.
It's a relay.
Relay, yeah. But it's great because I don't know if you had a donated heart. I don't know if there's a heart recipient out there that does full Ironmans, but I should.
I don't think so. That's amazing.
So I'm doing all of this on one kidney.
This is the basic question I was going to make. So, but because you didn't know yourself as a sportswoman before, you knew your normal body. So I don't know if you have a reference for sports, but of course you felt different. And what are the differences? What are the differences apart from the fact that you have just one kidney? I mean, what do you feel when exercising?
And if you need to do something different, some extra care about nutrition, hydration, or it's just business as usual.
It's business as usual. The fascinating part is, so every year I get my kidney checked, my remaining kidney. And the first 6 months to a year, you could tell that I had lost a kidney, just that my creatinine level, which is the level of the function of your kidneys, right? But when I just had my kidney checked in March, and it is producing the same as if I had 2.
Whoa.
So the human body adapts, and it learns to live without the one. And so really on paper, I am no different than anybody else. And my remaining kidney it doesn't grow, but it expands in size to accommodate the load that you put on it. So I just climbed Denali, which is the highest peak in North America. Just got off the mountain like 15 days ago, and feel great. And that was hardest mountain I've ever done. Hardest trip. It was 16 days, 16-day expedition. So. But I didn't feel any different. And, but then again, I didn't do Denali on 2 kidneys, so I wouldn't be able to compare it. But I feel like my surgeon, he often gets worried about me because I sign up for these things. And then after the fact, I give him a full debrief and he just says, keep doing what you're doing, keep living your life, So there's no special care. I don't take any medications. I don't do anything different, except I'm really cognizant of my hydration. Sure. I refuse to get dehydrated. And I feel like a lot of athletes push themselves way too far into dehydration. And my goal is every event, anything I do, to walk away with no injuries, and definitely to be really kind to my kidney, and hydration is key.
My mind sometimes it's a little strange. And while we were talking, all the mountains you have climbed, the Ironmans and everything, I kept thinking, probably your other kidney, it's feeling a little bit relaxed that he's not with you anymore. And your kidney that you have says, oh, man, why I'm here? And you got the opportunity to not do this. What is
all the job for me?
All the job for me, man. I am just so much. I even imagine the scene. You're both kidneys talking. It's so funny.
If they meet, if they meet
they meet.
today, one very big and strong, and the other one pretty cool and relaxed. That would be a nice conversation between the two kidneys. If they could meet.
That would be a great cartoon.
Great cartoon. Yeah. But,
well, my recipient, she is lovely. She's absolutely lovely, and she's a flight attendant, so she often goes to Hawaii and will send me a picture on the beach while I'm doing some 2 miles ski over whatever. And she's like, I'm by the pool, and I'm thinking, okay, my kidney right now hates me. It wants to be by the pool in Kona.
Jodi, what's her name? What's her name of your recipient?
My recipient's name is Jenny.
Jenny. So I understood you knew her because you worked together, but were you close? Tell me more about the relationship you had with her before. I see people doing that for a mom, for a sister, for a brother. So how was your relationship? This is because I think this is really even more amazing that you just knew her. I mean, she was a colleague from work. Is it correct? How was your?
Actually, I didn't know her at all. No, I did not. So when my house burned down, the flight attendants really rallied around me, which was lovely. So there was a flight attendant that showed up at the place I was staying after the fire and delivered a hot meal every single night. So we didn't, because we had 2 small children under the age of 3. We had a 2.5-year-old and a 3-month-old, right? So a flight attendant every night showed up with a home cooked meal and wine and just said, I'm sorry, and then just drove away. So Jenny was one of the first people that showed up and delivered a lasagna. And I only wrote down her name just so 6 months later, I could send out thank you cards, right? And when she sent out an email at work, she just sent out an email saying, I'm looking for an O positive kidney. I was like, Jenny, that name sounds familiar. And I looked at my little list of all the people that did some amazing things for me after the fire. And she was one of the first people that delivered a hot meal. And I was like, oh, I remember what she looks like. I'll fill out the paperwork. And so really we met after I sent her the email back saying, okay, I filled out the paperwork. And she wrote me back and she said, you're going to fill out the paperwork? Like you?
or someone you know, or you know someone who knows someone that's gonna fill out. No, myself.
And I said, no, I filled it out. And then when we started doing the whole process, she was just blown away that I was willing to help. And I know a lot of her family was ruled out of donating because they also had health problems. So that's a big thing too, is that every step of the donation, you can be excluded for any sort of health issue, for mental health issue, for whatever. They'll rule out anybody for any small little thing. So you really have to be in tip top shape to be able to donate.
Did it take long for you to know that you were qualified to be a donator?
I went through the mental health screening first and want to make sure you're not crazy. And then
because you are a little bit and you passed that one. Okay. We gotta check that exam.
yes. And in order to make sure that you're not being coerced into doing it.
Perfect.
There's some, it's the world is a strange place, but yes. So they make sure that someone's not making you do it, and then you start with just basic blood type, and then you go through a full X-ray, and then a full scan to make multiple. You have 2 kidneys. Some people are born with 1, right? So they make sure you have 2. Where the arteries are. Let's see if it's going to be difficult to remove 1. I mean, the whole thing. So it took almost 4 months.
Whoa, it's a long process.
It is a long process because they do a little testing and then they might rule you out, and because it's really expensive, all the testing. So they want to do small pieces at a time, and then they aren't wasting a lot of money on you. And a lot of those. Oh, go ahead.
It's some time. I mean, it's months of a process. So did your mind go somewhere else? I mean, I don't want to do that no more. Can I give up? Or how did you feel during this process of the before the surgery? surgery.
Yeah, you can back out anytime,
Mhm.
and they'll come up with some excuse. They'll tell your recipient, "Oh, she got ruled out for some medical reason."
Okay.
And the thing is, from the second I decided to donate, I never wavered in my decision to donate. I never once thought, you know, I'm going to change my mind. I always said I never believed in anything other than a positive outcome. I knew that we were both going to wake up from the surgery. I knew that the kidney was going to work, and I knew that I was going to go back to flying jets, because that was also a possibility, was I could lose my career. One of the things that they test us for when we go in for our health screening, I go in every 6 months because I'm a captain, is that they check my creatinine level. And if my creatinine level is too high, then I lose my medical license. And so
Okay.
the fear was that if I
Yeah.
removed one of my kidneys, that I would lose my career. And then I always said, well, how awful would it be that if Jenny died and I was the only one that could help, that I would say, well, I didn't want to help because I just want to fly airplanes for a living. How awful does that sound? So the question was never, why would I help? The question is, why wouldn't I help? Right?
So
Why wouldn't I?
it
So
sounds awful, but at the same time, it sounds logical because it's
yes,
your life. It's not just your career. Your career, it's you like what you do. It seems that you love what you do, but it also support what other things you love in life,
yes,
your daughters, your house. So I I don't think I would do what you did. And I'm being full transparent here, and not just because of my career, but because I don't know this. I know you had a connection. I think it's important. What Jane did first was amazing. When you have your house burned and else, but have this. I don't know. I don't even find the words to describe it. But just think about it. If how wouldn't? Why
right,
wouldn't? I
right.
think, and this is a super nice thing and way to see life in every aspect of your life. Don't ask
Yeah.
you why, but why wouldn't you do it?
Mhm. And I
This
feel
is
like,
remarkable.
if your father came to you and said, I needed a kidney, you would probably never hesitate,
Yeah,
right? Say,
yeah,
oh my God, absolutely. Or your
yes,
brother or your
yes,
child.
yeah.
And I feel like humanity, we've kind of gotten away from helping our neighbors and our brothers and sisters. And Jenny deserves to live just as much as anybody else.
Yeah.
So I often was asked, well, what about your children? What about your
Hmm.
husband? I said, my husband can donate them a kidney. They have other options, right? We have a
Hmm.
healthy family.
Hmm.
And Jenny didn't have any other options. Plus, it's very important to find a genetic match. The chances of rejection go way down. They have a
Hmm.
lot of great drugs right now where you
Hmm.
can probably take a kidney that's not 100% genetically, matched, but then she would have to take drugs, a lot of drugs for the rest of her life. So to get a better genetic match, she has a better chance of keeping that kidney for a very long time. And I hopefully she'll live another 50, 60 years with it and grow old and be a grandma. That's what I'm hoping. And me
But
too.
yeah, no,
You, yeah.
Yeah.
but
And it doesn't matter. I've heard something once. Um, it doesn't matter how much years you put on your life, but how much life
Yeah.
you put on your ears,
years.
right?
Yeah.
So doing something like that, I mean, you've
Yeah.
lived. I'm pretty sure you go to bed so well with yourself. I mean, we are all humans. Of course, you have your doubts about other things, but you are a remarkable person. And I can tell you, Jodi, you're already one of my favorite persons in the world. Respect, really respect. I was close to cry twice today. And Samir, prepare yourself. I'm not leaving this podcast. If you keep bringing people like this, man, I'm gonna have a way of intruding.
The
Sorry.
people are amazing, and that's one of the reasons why I started doing this podcast, because we thought it would be a nice marketing idea back in 2019, and I kept doing because I kept meeting amazing people and doing amazing things, and not just huge things as you have done, but small amazing things. So I'm not much a people person, but it's help knowing people like you helps me reconnect to humans again. I'm really, I just say, people are the worst that we have on earth. It's people. It's the huge problem. It's not politics. It's not people are we are the problem. We are the problem of the world. But then I got the chance, the opportunity, and I'm so lucky that I can meet people in person as you, and I say, oh no, I might be wrong. We have a way out of this. We just need to multiply Jodi.
Yeah. Or just donating organs in your death. I mean, I feel like a lot of people don't even sign up, and they're healthy, and when they die, when you die, you can take almost between 18 and 22 things out of your body to give other people the gift of sight, the gift of life. And
sure.
There's no greater gift in your death, right, than to help somebody else live. And then for me, I just get this wonderful feeling every time I see Jenny, and that she's living her best life, and she would have died within a year. She was on dialysis 10 hours a day, and she had about a year. So if I wouldn't have stepped up, she would be gone, and her kids would not have a mom. And and she's going on to do some amazing things too, because she knows she's been blessed with another chance.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
pass it over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I feel like the universe let me live out of this house fire. And so it was kind of my way of saying, I'm going to give something back. And
Jodi, you keep saying that. Of course, this was a milestone in your life, the house fire, and it put you to think. But I'm sure you're an amazing person anyway, even before that. And I want to know if you had heard this call before in your life, before the house fire, before you met Jenny, before the lasagna, before the kidney, you have made. Were you put in situations when you had to make hard choices in your life, and brave ones like you did in there, before this happened, or the house fire was really the moment that really changed you? I doubt that. I think you are an amazing person since you were born. I just want to know more about the Jenny before the house fire, in terms of brave choices you had to make.
Well, I feel like when you're young, you just feel like you take everything for granted, and
young, wild, and free.
You're wild and free, and there's no consequences, and you just feel like it's. I'm not saying I was a jerk before I donated my kidney, but I feel like as you get older, you understand what's more important, and then you do not take your health for granted. And then when you meet people who are suffering, you feel like, gosh, when you're young, maybe you just don't see it as much. But when you get older, you think, if my own child was suffering, I'd want to help them. So I grew up in a very altruistic family. My parents come from a life of service. I was raised a life of service, and then, but when you're young, you just don't see that, So as I got older,
you even complain. What?
Yeah, right. First world problems. You complain, my cell phone doesn't have reception. Whoa, and then you see like real hardship, and you think, oh, okay, oh my gosh, poverty is one thing. When I see it, it breaks my heart. But you can't. I mean, this is another thing too. When you're young, you have these big ideals. Like, I'm going to save the world. And in reality, if you just work on your own community, you can really make a big difference. And especially if you just work on just your neighborhood, or just be a kind person, that you could really change somebody's day, which is your community. So you can't really save the world, but you can save the little microcosm that you live in. So
starts by making your bed,
You don't have to go save the kids in Africa to be a good person. You could. That would be amazing. But maybe you could look at the doorman that has whole family with the COVID, and now he's the only one, or she is, and I've been exercising that, by the way, getting away of the I will donate to this big thing. Right. NGO. No, I'm helping the guy that's closer to me, the woman that just left my house. And yeah, good thought there.
No, you said that when you were in college or a little bit before, you had this, you felt this urge to get out of your bubble, to know the world a little bit more. And I have a friend that is
I don't like to be
struggling,
bored.
is struggling with this because we realize, I think when we realize that our world is just a tiny part of a much
Yeah.
huger thing, is when we start to give value for small things and to help others and everything. So that's when you came from to South America, right, to Chile and to Brazil. um, it was hard to get back home with because what I mean is you came back with your backpack fuller
Right.
and
Yes.
with more understanding of the world.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
the people that were there in North California or whatever you were doing college, they were the same. They didn't you change it, they didn't.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
hard getting back from when you, I mean, when you get out there in the world, it's hard to get back.
I feel the same way after I climb a mountain. Like I just
Mm-hmm.
Ollie, and when I come back,
Mm-hmm.
I'm changed, right? I'm a
Yeah.
changed person. It's a huge experience. It's a deep emotional experience. Same with Patagon Man, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this is huge, like so much training goes into it, right? You just spend hours and hours and suffer and try to make yourself a better athlete or a better person. And then, when at the end of it,
Mm-hmm.
when you can accomplish something, you've changed. And then you come back and everybody else is the same and you think, oh, doesn't anybody feel what I feel?
Mm-hmm.
And like when I came off Denali, right, flew home, and I have two kids, so I had to make pancakes and like clean the floors. 12 hours after getting off that mountain, I was making pancakes for my children. So nothing has changed at home, but I have changed. And I feel like you have got to learn how to take each one of these events or any of the things that you do that challenge yourself, and you grow emotionally, physically, everything else. And you learn how to absorb it and not have any expectations that anybody else is going to have any sort of life experience that is going to change them too. And you just try to accept people for who they are. When I came home from Chile, I was totally changed. I had seen so many things. I had watched, it was back in the 90s when
Ah.
the Chilean peso had been devalued, Pinochet, I mean, the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I went down there and I experienced all of that, all of the pain and suffering that the Chileans were
They were
experiencing.
under the dictatorship of Pinochet yet when you were here,
No,
or
it
just
was
getting
distant.
out?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
And like there was still cholera. And I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
was just like, and then I came home and it's like, we're in America and like there's flush toilets and, and I'm thinking, and it was really, that was one of my first experiences of like, I was totally changed and nobody else. And you just feel like you can't get back into that rat race. And I've learned how to have these amazing life experiences and then keep them with me. And I try very hard to push against just getting right back into the
Mm-hmm.
grind. And I think my job helps with that too, because I don't have a normal job.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I don't have a normal life.
Mm-hmm.
My husband is a stay-at-home dad,
Mm-hmm.
and we are raising two children who are they don't have a normal situation at home, right? Mom goes away to work, mom does all these crazy things, dad is the stable normal person.
It's interesting because we were raised, we were about all the same age, we are raised to think that this is not normal, but why is not normal? One parent goes to work and the other
Yep.
parents stay at home, or both parents. The
Right.
normal is you guys are raising them with love and care and everything. This is normal.
Yes,
But
when they go to school, they say my mommy flies a jet and my daddy.
That might be
And
nice to be Tui. I would love to be Tui for a
yeah,
day and say that.
super
Oh
badass
man.
mom. Do you think
and
that
then,
But the same happens. Oh, you've mentioned that sometimes before, Jodi, in this talk, which was what's wrong with humanity that they find so strange helping others. What's so special about helping the person you know? And in the same way, when you were talking about how you came back from Latin America, I was wondering the whole, do you expect the same level of humanity from people that you had with your, for example, the donation?
Right.
I was thinking, if it was me, I was like, man, how can you be so ungrateful? Hey man, wake up. I would be this crazy
Yeah.
judging
Activist.
guy.
Yeah.
It's hard not to judge
Yeah.
and all the time. And this can be a trap, because you know this is not helpful if you
No.
keep judging. How do you deal with, I did something that was good, but you gotta acknowledge that you are 0.0001% of the population that would do that.
Yeah.
How do you deal with it?
Well, I think in the beginning, I'd get angry at people. Like I'd be in line at the grocery store and I'd watch somebody be mean to somebody else, and I'd go, "Hey, that person might be your only chance at a liver donation. You better be nice to them." Like they could be your only genetic match for a living donation for liver. So you don't know who will help you. The thing is, there's so many people that donate altruistically. So a complete stranger could give you a kidney if you needed one. But it's funny because when you are sick, or let's say you're super healthy, so you don't really care, I'm just gonna be a jerk to everybody. But as soon as you like are suffering, suddenly you'll notice, that it's actually kindness goes a long way. So I feel like in the beginning, I got very upset when I'd see people be mean to one another. And I've learned to channel my energy into activism. So I'm a living kidney donor ambassador to the National Kidney Foundation. I go to Congress. I try to pass legislation to help people who are on dialysis get off dialysis. I try to pass legislation to do more research for living donors, to make sure that, if we can prove to people that it really is not invasive and they will live a long, healthy life, more people might step up, right? So I've learned to channel my energy into things that are actually going to maybe help. And then also when I go out and do anything, like when I climb Denali, I have a banner that I take to the summit that it promotes living donor awareness, and that they think I'm the first living kidney donor to climb Denali, the first living kidney donor to climb Aconcagua. So like, I can channel my energy to help donate life, promote awareness. And that makes me feel good, right? So my little things that I can do to get people talking about it, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because most people
are here talking about it. I don't know how many people are going to listen to that, Samir. I don't know how your audience is going. But I mean, another, I don't know, 50, 100, I don't know how many more people learning this story and meeting normal people, but she's still 0.0001% of the population.
And I think it's important to talk about it, because you have, I probably sometimes you feel tired about talking about it, because as it's such a special condition. So you donated your kidney for someone you didn't know. Now you're a triathlete and you go high on mountains and everything. So this call a lot of attention. So we probably talk about it a lot. And sometimes you feel tired about talking, but it's important to talk about it.
We don't care. We're gonna keep.
I don't care. I'm gonna keep asking.
This is so amazing.
Jodi, this as a conversation. When you said we want to talk about it anymore, let's change subject. We change subject. No problem.
Oh, that's fine. I love talking about it because, again, most people never talk to somebody that has donated their kidney, right? Just like they've never talked to a female pilot. I get a lot of people walk up to me and say,
from Alaska, who has been to
never met a female pilot.
And Santiago, and I mean, this is
that's it. And I think it's so important to talk about it, and because we have some when we're talking about organ donation, we have tons of layers. Why not?
Right. Yeah.
Religious, politics, personal, and I think we need to start talking to take some barriers out,
Yeah. And a lot of people are worried because surgery is awful, right? Nobody wants to electively have surgery. I mean, like I told the surgeon, nobody in their right mind is willing to lay down on a table and take out one of their organs. Like, come on. And he said, I know, that's why I call you all my heroes. You're my heroes. And I said, I'm no hero. I am a human willing to help another human. And I think that's the most important thing, is that you have to be willing to step up. And a lot of people can't do it. no problem with that. But there's other things you can do, right? You might not be able to donate an organ, but you can be kind. You can help your doorman. You can reach out to your community, make your community a better place to live. So
this is the definition of a hero right there. So when someone calls you a hero, take that, because what is a hero if not someone who's trying to help someone else?
right.
So I think you got the definition right there.
You said something about the being a female pilot. There's how many in Alaska Airlines? How many female pilots are there?
Well, let's see, we have about 3,000 pilots, and nationwide, the number is about 5% of all aviators or pilots are female. So out of 3,000 pilots, maybe we have 150. And captains, less than 1% of commercial aviation pilots are female captains. So nationwide, less than 600. So
teach me something. Captains, pilot. It's what's the difference? I'm
so
when
when you're looking in the flight deck of a commercial airliner, the person on the left is the captain. They have 4 stripes, and then the person on the right is the first officer. And we share responsibilities. We both fly the plane. We just take turns every flight. So like one flight I'll fly, the next flight they'll fly, but the other person's working the radios. So we're both qualified. It's just that I make all the decisions.
Okay.
They pay me the big bucks to make the hardest.
Cool. And it was hard to climb all your way to being a captain. Did you have to? Yeah, and I know it's hard. It's not an easy job, but it was harder because you were a woman.
People ask me that all the time if I've experienced discrimination. And I wouldn't consider it discrimination. I would consider it just a different, I guess when I come to the table, a lot of people expected something different from me because I'm a female. And so you just have to prove them wrong. And I think for flying, the airplane does not lie, right? So you have to fly the airplane within standards, right? So plus or minus 100 feet, -0 plus 10 knots. And so if you cannot fly to the parameters of the airplane, then you don't pass. It's really easy. So there's no like, well, she didn't pass because we didn't really want a woman. You can't, the airplane doesn't lie. So I feel like aviation is actually the most, like, what is the word I'm looking for? The
pragmatic.
The least amount of discrimination when you can pull the data from the airplane, and then the airplane does not know if you're a man or a woman flying it, right? The airplane doesn't care. You have to fly it within standards. So when you show up to work and you can prove that you can do that, then everybody's great to you. So you just prove yourself.
But there's no interviews or something like I like you more than the other. No, there's nothing like that. It's all about exams and how much.
Yeah. So you have to be able to get hired, you have to pass a simulator test. And if you can't pass the simulator, you're not going to get hired. So, and then when you become a captain, you have to pass the training. And if you can't fly to standards, then you don't become a captain. So.
And do you have and why do you think there's only 5% of pilots?
Oh, it's such a tough question because I feel like women, we're good at multitasking. So that's what flying is. So, sure. And most flight attendants, I'd say 90% of flight attendants are women. So it's not the lifestyle or the hotel life, or I think it's a self-confidence thing that maybe girls when they're younger feel like they have to be experts at math and science to become pilots. And that is not true. I mean, you have to be good, but you don't have to rebuild the airplane. You don't have to be an engineer. You don't have to be a mechanical engineer to fly an airplane. You have to be able to multitask and you have to be able to work next to somebody that you're going to sit next to for 12 hours. Yes. And that's a huge part of it as well. And I think there's more women. When I started 22 years ago, it was only about 3.5%, 4%. So we're slowly making gains, but it's way too slow for in my personal opinion.
It does the whole historic sexism that involves it, right? So historic, it's not because of right? So nurses are women, flight attendants are women, pilots are men. I mean, even if they're not blocked to do that,
Do you think your husband it's harder for, not for him, but he suffers more prejudice for being a homestay dad than you being a female captain?
Oh, that's interesting.
I should be
Because
asking him, but
Come on, man.
we did notice, like, when our babies were little and they had like the mommy and me groups, like he wasn't allowed to go because he wasn't a mommy. And I was like, what? I mean, that's ridiculous. Because he was caring for the
Sure.
baby. And so he was excluded from some of these mommy and me groups, which I'm sure that's probably changed. I mean, our daughter's 11, but and then there's been a lot of like he goes to the store with the children and people say to him, "Oh, you're babysitting." And he says, "No, I'm being a parent." Like, there's a huge difference. So people view men when they're out with their children doing like the domestic things, like, grocery shopping. That's somehow like he's giving me a break to go grocery shopping.
Yeah. He's helping you out.
I do. Yeah, he's helping. Yeah. No, he's like, I'm pretty much doing the grocery shopping.
I read something a couple of years ago that saying the difference about this, and a guy was saying that every time he was with his children, he often were questioned, "Where's the mom?" And his wife said, when I'm with the children, nobody asks me where's the dad.
Right. Yeah.
I'm supposed to be with the children. He's not supposed to be with the children, No,
you forget to a party. If a man gets to a party by himself and everybody knows he's a dad, no one asks, who are the kids with?
Right.
But if a woman gets in a party without the kids, then they will ask the first thing, who are the kids with? Well, we are two parents. It's with the other one.
Yeah, he's very capable of taking care of the children.
Yeah.
I get that a
They're
lot.
alive.
When I go to work, people ask me, "Well, who's with the kids?" And I said, "Their father."
Their father.
So, and that comes from passengers, other coworkers. Like, they're surprised that I'm, at work, that I'm the breadwinner. Like, that's surprising to them. But I think that view is changing quite a bit as we.
Well, I'm sure too he's gonna live in a slightly different world, but still a long ways to go.
Yeah. And they came with me to do Patagon Man. My husband was my support, and the children helped as well. So it was a family affair.
Family affair. Nice. How was that? How was did he ran the last 12 kilometers with you, or you just met him at the finish line?
No, we flew his mother in, actually. So my husband's British, and we flew his mother in to take care of the children while he was my support.
Nice.
So they had their grandmother with them to watch them, because of course he had to get up, and the swim starts at like 3:30, right? So, and when we started looking at the logistics, we thought, let's fly your mother in. So she got a free trip to Patagonia.
Not a bad gift.
Yeah, not a bad gift. Yeah. She had never been, so that was lovely. And when I lived in Chile, I did not make it to Patagonia. The furthest south I went was Puerto Montt, and then back in 1992, the Carretera Austral really wasn't built yet, so it was mostly ferry.
It's not done yet. As we speak, you saw it. It's not done yet.
I rode my bike across it. Yes. So it's still not done, but it's still not done. Yeah. But at least there is a road now, because before it was just only ferries. So I never made it to anywhere in south of Puerto Montt. So it was lovely to see a portion of Chile I had not seen before.
Nice. And when you finish these races, such a Patagon Man or any other endurance and long races, or you summit, you just say summit, or summit a mountain? What's the right way to say?
Oh, you just say when I summited, or when I was on the summit.
Okay, so when you summit, feelings are the same, or are different kinds of joy? What do you feel at 6,000 meters high and a finish line high? What are the differences?
I tend not to cry when I finish when I'm running, but when I get to a top of a mountain, it really is very emotional for me. My mother passed away when I was 21, and I feel like every time I climb up any sort of mountain, I feel a little closer to her. And that brings me a lot of emotion. And plus, it's usually a very long day.
Yeah.
So, and then
I
you
imagine.
have to go down, right? So this is the thing with a race. You cross the finish line, you're done, right?
Take
But
a
when
shower, have a beer, you're done.
when you get to the summit of Denali, it's
Ah,
another 6 hours back down again. So you know your day is not over and your legs are shot and you're carrying a pack and you're just emotionally and physically exhausted, and the day is, and then of course all the bad things happen when you're on the descent. That's when most people die, because they fall or they have some sort of accident. And so then you have to be even more aware of what you're
mhm,
doing, pull more out of your body to just get back to base camp.
mm.
So that's a different experience. Crossing the finish line in a race, I mean, you're elated, it's over. It's kind of like when you finish the swim, you think, oh, I'm done with the swim.
Mhm.
Yay! And then you get on the bike and you finish the bike, and then you're like, I only have the run left. And it's really these stages. But with mountaineering, you're like, you can see the summit the whole time.
Mhm.
And then you swear it never gets any closer. You know, after 5 hours of walking, you think it's still there, you know. And you finally
Am
get
I
to
going
this.
backwards? Am I going backwards here and I'm not feeling it? What's going on?
It's like if you did an Ironman and you could see the finish line the whole time.
The whole time.
Oh, that's
Drive you
terrible. That's
insane, right?
terrible. Yeah.
So that's
Oh,
the
those four lap
Oh.
things or this kind of
Yeah.
thing. You're always there.
Always
Almost-
seen. Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
awful. I don't like those. That's one of the beauties of Patagon, man.
Yep.
You'll never see the finish.
You never see the
You're
finish.
literally a half a mile from the finish.
Yeah. Amazing race.
You can't even see the finish on the swim because it's dark.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's a good thing sometimes.
Yeah.
You
This
just
little
need,
flashing light. This little flashing
Yeah.
light. That's it. It's
Is
way
that-
over there.
I need to go way over there. It's not just 4,000 meters. It's much, much more.
Yes. So I think it's a different kind of elation just because you know your day is still not done with mountaineering. But yes, when you get to the summit, it is it's just a life-changing, well, first of all, you have the most beautiful view in the world,
View,
right?
yeah,
So
sure.
when I just did Denali, right? It's the
Mhm.
highest peak in North America. And it was a gorgeous day, and I could see pretty much like as much as of Alaska that I'll
You
ever
have to
see.
be lucky as well. You have to be lucky to have a good view, right?
Yes, because the weather, it's very weather dependent, right?
Mhm.
And it was just phenomenal. It was,
And-
you know,
And how much time you spend there? You just, okay, I'm summit. Okay,
Seconds,
nice.
like
Photo.
like
Let's go
12
down. Or is 12 minutes?
you're on a schedule, man. You're on a schedule. 'cause
schedule,
You gotta
yeah.
get down by
Schedule.
a certain time,
Yeah.
right, Jodi?
and if you have somebody on your team that's not doing well, you don't want to stick.
You don't see. Yeah.
And we had somebody on our team that was not feeling very well, so I think we spent 15 minutes at the summit. That was it.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's another lesson that I take from you. It's you cannot start something just thinking of the summit,
Yes.
because probably you stay there just for 12 minutes.
Right.
In other way, the journey will take this 16, 20 hours. So you need to love the journey.
Yes.
Um,
And it is the journey, you know,
Mhm.
and then you get back to base camp and you still have to walk all the way out to where you started, which is 2 days. So you get to the summit and then you go to base camp and it's 2 days to walk back out
2
again.
days. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. On a glacier.
And some
Where any-
spectacular views.
Yeah, spectacular views, you know, but there's always the chance of a crevasse, falling into a crevasse and
Sure.
all of these things. So, you know, you have to be, I mean, yeah, it was a 16-day expedition. So, you know, I mean, an Ironman is 1 day, but it's the buildup, it's the journey of training to
Yes.
get there. And the same with Denali. I mean, I did 6 months of a lot of training to be able to summit that mountain. And
Trekking and trail. What kind of training you do for this? Basically, trekking and trail.
yeah, so of course, since I live in Alaska, I can do actual condition training, which is nice.
Okay.
So, I'd often 3 days a week I would go down about 15 minutes from my house as a trail, go straight up 4,000 feet, and I'd throw my crampons on with my boots, 50-pound pack, and go up. But I would carry water, 50 pounds of water. So when I got to the summit, I could just dump the water out and then go down with no weight on my back. So that was just to save my knees. So I did that at least 3 days a week for almost 6 months. So, and then running and biking in between that to prepare. Because I'm coming back to do Patagon Man.
Yeah, I know it.
Yes,
Looking forward to
I
see
love
you here
it
again.
so much. I'm coming back.
This was going to be my next question. I know, Samir, we are almost we are ahead of time. Actually, no, we're late. I know, because your plan was 1 hour. Anyways, no, that was going to be my next question. What is your next adventure, Jodi? Are you going to find the cure for COVID? 'Cause this is the level. This is how much it's my expectations. The bar is over here. Anyways, no, I mean, no. Sports wise, what's your next adventure?
Well, I'm doing a mountain race next week, which I'm doing with my daughter. So
Nice.
it's called Mountain Marathon, and they call it the toughest 5K on the planet. But we go from sea level to 3,022 feet and back down again.
In 5K?
Uh-huh.
Whoa.
What is this? A wall?
Yeah, it's pretty much a wall.
Pretty much a wall.
Yeah. And the record for that race, which I did not set, is like for women, I think is 49 minutes up and down.
Up and down.
Up and down. Yes. Crazy.
Whoa.
The best I've ever done is like 1 hour and 30. So the juniors race for kids under 18 is only halfway up and down. So it's my daughter's first time. So she's excited. And then I race after her. So we'll see how I do. But we just went down and practiced. And I was like, oh, this is like, I don't have 50 pounds on my back and I'm not toning. And this feels pretty good.
This feels easy.
Yeah. So I feel like
I'm definitely gonna check the Alaskan, the Anchorage newspapers on Monday morning. Samir,
Sure.
a new record is gonna be set.
No,
I'm pretty
Either
sure that the
junior
record.
one or the adult one. I know.
it's the downhill that's super dangerous. So people run down this hill and people wipe out all the time and break bones. If you don't cross the finish line bleeding, you're not doing it right, right? So it's just called Mountain Marathon. You can Google it. It's a crazy race. And we have a lot of races like this in Alaska where they're just like straight up a mountain for no reason whatsoever. There's no prize money. There's no medal, there's no glory, except for like, that you did the best you could.
Just because take a selfie. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's it.
So we're going to do that next week. And
Amazing.
then I signed up to do the Chattanooga Iron Man in September. That's in a river. So I'm assuming
I have done this. I have swum in this, not the Iron Man, but I have swum in this river.
Oh.
Pretty easy. Pretty easy. If you, I live in Atlanta, and Chattanooga is like 100K from there.
Yeah.
So if you stay like a just like that, like a
log,
you're gonna get to the end in a good pace.
Yeah, I'm assuming I'm gonna be like
amazing.
sub 1 hour.
But the run is kind of tough. The
Okay.
run is kind of tough.
It's
It's gonna be hot.
Rolling hills. No?
It's running hills and hot for an Alaskan person.
For me, that'll be hard because I'm used to cold weather. So I go from Chattanooga to then I come to Patagon Man, and then of course living in Alaska, training in Alaska in the cold weather. Cold water swimming, open water swimming is not a problem because all the water we have is cold.
It's cold. You don't have cold water, just have water.
You just have water, yes. So we have glacier lakes that I swim in, which are probably 4 to 5 degrees Celsius.
Whoa.
So when I came to Patagon Man the first time, I was like, this is actually kind of warm. You know, people are like, what? Because I was swimming in a lake at the end of October in 2019 before I did Patagon Man, and I was pushing ice out of the way because it was like the last weekend before the lake froze over. So I was out there trying to swim. My husband's like, you are crazy. You are crazy. So
do you wear some special gear, or just you got used to it after living there for 15 years?
Yeah, just the wetsuit that I'll use for Patagon Man. I do wear a cap.
A cap, yeah.
But I don't do the gloves and booties. They're just kind of get in the way. And then, you know, when you get out of the water at Patagon Man, like you're, I don't know if people know this, but like you can't use your hands because they're so cold and your feet are so cold. So when your supports are trying to help you get dressed, you just stand there like with these club hands.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to get the feeling back in your fingers and toes. And that was the hardest part, was trying to get out of my wetsuit and get my cycle stuff on without being able really to use my hands. So my husband was amazing at just like stripping my wetsuit off and putting my clothes on me. So if people want to practice that before they go down there, just try not to just practice not being able to use your hands once you get out of the water and have
And
your
that's,
support.
and that's
Get
what,
Good
ready.
tip.
that's why you need
Only
your
on After
support.
the Bell podcast. Very, very good tip.
Yeah.
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 Did you drink some hot beverage or something like that in T1 in Patagonia, man? Do you remember having something to heat your body from the inside out?
Yeah, my husband had hot soup waiting for me. Well, not too
Cool.
hot. He wanted me to be able to drink it, so it was like lukewarm.
Yeah.
And that was great because I could hold on to that while he was dressing me.
Mhm.
So, and then that made me feel wonderful, just drinking something warm. And then he had some hand warmers for me to hold on to. So, like, he handed me some hand warmers. I drank out of my mug and warmed up my hands that way. But boy, were my feet cold the first 20 miles on that bike. Like, I couldn't even feel my feet. So that was difficult because you're pedaling and you're thinking, I can't even feel my feet. Like, am I even clipped in? Because
I see my legs moving, but I don't feel I can feel my feet. You know, amazing.
Yeah.
Jodi, I don't want to take your time anymore. As he said, I always start this conversation thinking just to take 1 hour and something from our guests, but we know that 1 hour to talk to you is nothing because just you're amazing. And the good thing is we'll be back here soon.
Yes.
Hope so, and then we can talk more. Just two things. Well, obviously, want to thank you for your time, and say if you want to. As we don't have any agenda or any structure in our conversation, there's something that we didn't talk about it that you want to talk, or a message that you want to leave for our listeners. The stage is yours.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. All I want to say is that I hope everybody's a registered organ donor. And if you're not, then, you should have a conversation with yourself and ask you why you're not, especially in your death. But I feel like a platform like this is lovely for people to get to know, especially fellow racers. I think in 2019 we only had maybe 160. Was that? And I think there was only 12 women.
Mm-hmm.
So back to the aviation question is, why are there so few female pilots? Why are there so few female XTI participants? And this year, I think for 2021, there's only maybe 12 to 15 that are signed up. So if there's any women out there listening thinking, maybe I want to do that, just sign up, just do it, because, well, you only live once, right? And I feel like when you're doing an XTI, you're not doing the normal Iron Man where everybody's on top of each other, right? So when you're doing any other sort of race, everybody's really compact and you're running together and you're biking together. And this is so spread out because there's so few people and the course is so difficult that really oftentimes you're cycling by yourself, you're running by yourself, and there's a lot of freedom in that. And for women, I think a lot of women don't sign up for this kind of stuff because of if they're swimming with men. Men are very competitive, as you know, and often don't share the road. And this is an opportunity to try something that you will have your own personal space and you'll have your own support. And the race will be what it is, but you might actually find out a lot about yourself. And so if there's any women that are on the fence, they should sign up because there's other women.
Back you on that. Yeah, we have for this year we're expecting 25 women. And
good.
We're happy. We're happy and sad because it's compared to we have 300 starters and just 25 women, but we're getting there. We want more women participating because, as you said, anyone can do it if you want it, if you're willing to do what it has to do, and anyone can do it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Lovely.
You can just sign up for something and do it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Jodi, thank you very much for your time, for sharing with us so much, and just for being who you are. You are amazing. I'm a huge fan.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Henrique, once again, thank you. Been lovely to chat with you also.
Thank you for making me meet my new life idol. So nice meeting you, Jodi. Thanks, Samir, again, really for the opportunity. Thanks, Jodi. Amazing meeting you. Thanks so
Well,
much.
thanks for having me.
Congratulations.
Pleasure meeting you too. And will you be in Chile and for the race?
Probably. I don't know if I will race, but I'm gonna be there.
Okay, good. Well, we'll share a cerveza and talk about
Good.
Stuff.
tudo bem.
Tudo bem.
Tudo bem.
Great.
Good.
Ciao, Jodi.
All right, Jodi.
Bye bye.
you.
Have a nice
Thank
one.
you.
Bye bye.